back to talk about Severance Season 1. I am not associated with the show. I'm not getting paid, though I wish I was. This is just my opinions, observations, my theories, my commentary based off a document I wrote 2 years ago. So let's get right into it. For section, it's creepy that Harmony essentially attempts to indirectly flirt with Mark at his home when she mentions that her dead husband made blueprints for when she gets to heaven that includes a guest apartment in case he finds a lover before she gets there. Mark didn't seem to catch on. And I'm glad he didn't, because, ew. No. Lady, no. Next section. In the resignation rejection video, Audi Helly says that Miss Cobell said that any Helly threatened to cut her fingers off. One problem with that statement, it appears, one big problem with that statement, it appears that the whole group that walked her to the elevator never moved from where they were standing from the time she got on to the time she came back up. Well, yeah. And it's very likely that Cobell would have had such a conversation in the presence of MDR. So when did the conversation between Cobell and Audi Helly happen? If I'm basically a split personality and I send you, if I'm a split personality and you send me down an elevator, or I'm telling you I'm going down the elevator and I'm leaving or whatever, when did Miss Cobell talk to the other Helly? The other Helly? If she was standing at the elevator with everybody else the whole time? How did she know about the finger chop thing? If, yeah. Next section. In the resignation I just read that. When it comes to the interdepartment rumors, such as the supposed attacks and MDR having pouches, the question becomes, who spread them? I suspect it's all from former employees such as Carol D and others. I stand corrected. It's management. It's management. We know it's management. And others who 266s were run on, and so, you know what? That's right. That does make sense. I suspect it's from former employees such as Carol D and others who 266s were run on, and some believed what they saw. For those who might not remember, a 266 is what Milchick did when he accidentally left a copy of a depiction of OND violently attacking MDR on the copier for Irving to see. And then you have to consider the idea of the telephone game, or even any information really, not even just a telephone game. Let's say something happened to you and it gets passed on and on and on and on, individual by individual or small group by small group. By the time it comes back around to you, it's going to be a completely different story. There's going to be stuff added, stuff taken away. If you told the first person that you wrote a story or whatever, at some point that story might become yours as if you actually lived it. So I think maybe that's possibly what happened with them believing in the violent coup. Okay, next section. It's occurred to me that the vast majority of the action happens to, around, involves, or impacts Mark in some way. And because of the way things play out and the strangeness of the show, Mark could be in a coma and lying in a hospital bed the entire time, and the whole thing is a ridiculously long dream, which would make me mad, which would explain a lot. The long, winding white halls at work, the mumbling voice Helly hears when in the break room, which could be doctors or family talking, the constant fear, which could be lingering fear from and adrenaline from crashing into a tree. No one anywhere at all seems to know what the severed do, not even spies. No one ever goes to the bathroom to relieve themselves. Nearly everyone has a constant connection and or obsession with death. Lumen is connected to the healthcare field. The insane idea of Mark's sister and brother-in-law cluttering a newborn's room with 3 beds instead of getting a bed that could be modified over time. The sheer number of different beds shown in the show, and especially at least a few of the animations in the intro. Because the brain just does stuff like that, makes different connections or whatever. And so him being in a coma or a shared coma could, make more sense of the whole thing. But, and again, I would be mad if that's the case, if he's been asleep this whole time. The first thing shown in the intro is what appears to be Mark asleep, cloaked in shadow, then his full body in a bed with dress clothes on. All of the people are him, the needle, and lastly, the 2 versions of Mark in the bed next to each other, while the one wearing pajamas is wearing the badge, who merged to become one. Or they could all be in comas in the hospital and having a really terrible shared dream, and management is allowed to wake up every day while everyone else is purposefully kept asleep beyond necessity, sort of like in the lines of what is the name of that stupid movie? Oh my goodness, it's not a stupid movie. I love that movie. What is it called? Oh, it begins with an I, and it's Inception. Yeah, sort of like that, or they're all in a shared dream kind of thing. Yeah. So that's possible too. Let's see. This might, that might also explain why when in the break room, Helly hears a mumbling man while Dylan hears a crying baby. And also why outside of work at different times, Cobell seems to have different personalities. And there's also the possibility that the people in management are aliens, and that's why they get angry or bewildered at the comments, desires, emotions, and requests of staff when their reactions are completely normal given the circumstances. Mark being worried about Petey, Helly's inability to fake happiness, Dylan wanting to know his son's name, everyone wanting to know what their work actually entails, etc. It's next section. It's odd, all the things that have to be plugged in over the course of this show, especially the ones with the sockets that are hard to reach, like when Mark had to plug Helly's computer in. Like, what are you doing? What is with the plugging and unplugging for? Like, I mean, yeah, it could save power or whatever, especially with older stuff that like tends to draw more power and is less likely to get messed up from being unplugged. Like, yeah. Next section. What if Dr. Ragabi expected the key card to be used for something completely different? And what if that something different was no longer in Mark's memories? Because again, it's very possible that Mark has been mind wiped, and is no longer privy to whatever information he would add. Unfortunately, the easiest explanation for management's unusual and oft illogical emotional responses or expectation of others' emotions is they might be is that they, and then I go back to aliens again. Because aliens. Why not? After this video, I'm gonna have one more concerning season 1, and then the one after that is going to be about the first episode of season 2. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have at least one video per episode of season 2. Hopefully we get at least 15 episodes. That would be great. Thanks. Because it just, yeah, I'm totally obsessed. It's clear. Because it's hard for me to find something I haven't seen before. I've watched so many movies, mostly movies. I don't really do shows anyway, but almost everything I've seen it before in some iteration, and it gets annoying and boring to the point where, like, this happens more, I think, with shows than movies, where me and Mr. Man, the hubby, will be sitting next to each other. We'll be watching something, and I'll be like, they're going to do this. They're going to do that. Or I'll say exactly what somebody's saying when they say it for something I've never seen before. That gets boring. Very, very, very boring. So, seeing something that's different, that's unusual, but not unusual in a way that's being crass or extremely violent and stuff like that. It's refreshing, and that's why I was so drawn to the show and watched it over and over and over and over again. So yeah, next video I have to go look for that page I had. It's not part of it. Should have been part of this, but I forgot to add it. Well, no, I didn't forget to add it. I kept ducking and dodging adding it. That's what happened. And I'm gonna have to go back over a few things. So I have at least one more video concerning, I correct myself. I'm gonna have at least one more concerning season 1, and then I'll get on season 2. I don't know when I'm going to post for season 2, because it may be one video, it may be more than one. So we'll see.